What if I told you that one of the most destructive invasive species on the planet could actually be the savior of an entire ecosystem? That an animal famous for turning landscapes barren could be the key to making a desert bloom? It sounds crazy, I know. But let's get into this, because it's an absolutely unbelievable story.
So check this out. On one side of the world, you've got Australia, right? Where 200 million rabbits they're a full-blown plague, just wrecking the environment. But then, on the other side, in China, they intentionally imported 4 million of them, and not for food, which is what you might think. Nope. They brought them in for this wild experiment, right in the middle of a desert.
So what gives? What did China know that Australia didn't? The answer? Well, it's a total masterclass in thinking outside the box. It completely changes how we look at the whole economy versus ecology thing. So, what was their secret?
All right, to understand this, we got to go to China's Kubuchi Desert. Now, this place had a nickname, the Sea of Death, and believe me, it earned it. This wasn't just sand. It was this unstoppable force, just swallowing everything it touched.
The official term for this is desertification. You know, when good, fertile land just gets eaten up by a desert. And in China, the kabuki was basically the poster child for this problem. It was this relentless tide of sand just taking over the country's precious green spaces.
And the sheer scale of this, it's just mind-blowing. We're talking about 500,000 acres a year. To put that in perspective, imagine a chunk of green land, maybe the size of a huge city, just gone, wiped out and turned into desert every single year. That's the battle they were facing.
And look, it's not like they weren't trying to fight it. They threw everything they had at it for decades, building these sand control stations, planting tons of trees, but nothing worked. The sea of sand just kept coming. It really seemed like an impossible problem to solve. But then, this local entrepreneur, a guy named Wang Wenbiao, steps onto the scene. And he has this idea that, honestly, everyone thought was just nuts. He was going to take his own money and try to plant a garden right in the middle of the Sea of Death. And his plan was actually pretty clever. His team laid out these dried shrubs in big squares on the sand. Then, right in the middle, they planted willow trees. See, the shrubs acted like little walls, protecting the baby trees from those crazy desert winds. And willows, they chose willows because their roots can dig down an insane 300 feet to find water. I mean, it was a brilliant start, right? Okay, so this was working for about 3 years, but then they hit a major snag, a huge problem. For the trees to be valuable, for paper or furniture, the main trunk had to grow thick. And to do that, you had to constantly prune off all the little new shoots. Now, can you imagine trying to do that by hand in the middle of a massive desert? It was a logistical nightmare and just way too expensive. The whole project was about to go on.
And this is where the story takes a really wild turn. The solution to this very modern industrial problem, it came from the most unlikely place you could possibly imagine.
They used rabbits. Yeah, you heard me. Rabbits. The exact same animal that's seen as a total pest everywhere else was about to become the hero of this entire story.
But wait, not just any old rabbits. They specifically chose Rex rabbits, and this is where it gets really smart. Reason 1, they love eating the fresh little shoots off of willow trees. They're basically nature's perfect pruning shears. Reason 2, their fur is super soft and really valuable. And reason 3, well, they breed, like rabbits. A single female can pop out 50 babies in a year. Insane.
So you see, the big idea here wasn't just, hey, let's get some rabbits to trim trees. No, it was way bigger than that. It was about creating this perfect self-sustaining loop, a system where the environment and the economy actually heal each other.
And check out how this cycle works. It's an absolute work of art. The rabbits prune the trees, right? So the trees grow stronger and their roots hold the sand in place. Then the rabbit waste acts as a natural fertilizer for that sandy soil. But here's the real kicker. They don't fully digest grass seeds. So as they, move around, they're spreading seeds everywhere. And before you know it, new grass starts to pop up, fighting the desert from the ground up. It's just this perfect loop. One person's problem, the new tree shoots, became the rabbit's solution, free food. And in return for eating for free, the rabbits provided free labor that helped create a valuable product for the paper industry. It was a total win-win, all powered by nature.
So, okay, what happens when you let a genius system like this just run for 30 years? Well, the results are, and I'm not exaggerating here, they are nothing short of a miracle.
Get this, over 6 100,000 square kilometers. That is 1/3. A third of the entire Kubuchi Desert has been turned from yellow sand into a green oasis. It's just staggering.
And this wasn't just about planting trees. The government jumped in with over $400 million. They built entire new villages and created a whole new economy for the people living in the area.
But maybe the most important part is the human impact. We're talking about 100,000 people. People who were once forced to run from the desert now have good lives because of it. Entire communities were literally built on the back of this rabbit-powered revolution.
And you might think, wow, what a great story, that's the end. But no, that same incredible spirit of innovation that turns sand into soil, oh, it was just getting warmed up. So on that exact same green land they reclaimed, they built one of the world's biggest solar farms. Now the solar panels create shade, which you guessed it, helps more grass grow underneath. And who do you think they got to maintain all that grass? Yep, a whole new army of Rex Rabbit groundskeepers. Plus the panels themselves slow down the wind by half, which helps stop the sand from blowing around. It's just genius on top of genius.
Today, researchers all over the world are calling this model the eco-economic revolution. And what it really is a blueprint. It's proof that you don't have to choose between a healthy planet and a healthy economy. You can actually design them to work together to fuel each other.
So that really leaves us with one big, powerful question, doesn't it? I mean, if a place called the Sea of Death can be transformed into an oasis of life, what other so-called impossible environmental challenges could we solve? It all comes down to looking at problems in a new way and maybe finding the perfect, most unexpected partner.